Welcome back to our channel, where we'll be exploring the heart of Genoa together. Today is a great day to learn about the complex, emotional lives of our favorite characters, even as darkness hangs over Newman Manor. We have much to discuss regarding a series of heartbreaking events, as Nikki becomes increasingly depressed, making it difficult for her to overcome her nightmares. So let's dive into this dramatic development. The sterile, unforgiving walls of the Genoa City Hospital serve as a harsh backdrop to a moment that will forever alter the trajectory of the Newman family. Nikki Newman, the undisputed matriarch and a woman synonymous with elegance and resilience, sits in the cold examination room. Her posture impeccably straight despite the devastating words echoing in her ears. The grim diagnosis, intricately tied to her ongoing battle with multiple sclerosis, hangs in the air like a heavy, suffocating shroud. The physician delivers a terminal reality that would break the spirit of any ordinary person. Yet, Nikki is no ordinary woman. She absorbs the catastrophic news with a stoic facade, her pride acting as an impenetrable shield against the immediate onslaught of terror and despair. She refuses to let the medical staff see the profound fracture in her soul, maintaining the regal composure that has defined her public persona for decades. As she navigates the labyrinthine corridors of the hospital toward the exit, the sheer weight of the diagnosis begins to press down upon her fragile shoulders. Every step feels like wading through an ocean of invisible lead. Nikki has fought countless battles in her life, from her highly publicized struggles with alcoholism to the vicious corporate and personal wars alongside Victor Newman. But this enemy is entirely different. It is an enemy that resides within her own biology, a silent thief stealing her future. She clutches her designer handbag, her knuckles turning white, as she meticulously suppresses the urge to break down. The determination to face this unimaginable horror alone is born out of a complex web of pride, heartbreak, and a deep-seated belief that her marriage is currently fractured beyond repair. She cannot, and will not, allow Victor to witness her in a state of terminal vulnerability. The drive back to the sprawling, opulent grounds of the Newman mansion is a blur of passing trees and muted sunlight. The world outside her tinted windows continues its relentless pace, entirely oblivious to the fact that Nikki Newman's universe has just violently collapsed. Upon arriving at the estate, the profound silence of the empty mansion greets her. The grandeur of her surroundings, the priceless art, the sweeping staircases, and the meticulously curated decor suddenly feel entirely meaningless. They are cold monuments to a life she is rapidly being forced to leave behind. Nikki stands in the grand foyer, the silence amplifying the deafening roar of her own racing heartbeat. The isolation she feels in this massive, empty house is a stark reflection of the emotional isolation she has chosen to endure. Without warning, the physical toll of her deteriorating condition, combined with the crushing psychological shock of the diagnosis, completely overwhelms her nervous system. A sudden, terrifying wave of weakness washes over her limbs. Her legs, usually so steady and commanding, simply give way beneath her. Nikki collapses onto the cold, polished marble floor of the mansion, the impact sending a jarring shockwave through her fragile frame. In the chaotic blur of the fall, her smartphone slips from her trembling grasp. It skitters across the smooth surface, sliding agonizingly out of reach. She extends her hand, her fingers desperately stretching toward the device, but her body refuses to obey her commands. The phone, her only lifeline to the outside world, lies just inches away, mocking her sudden, absolute helplessness. Lying incapacitated on the floor of her own home, Nikki Newman is engulfed by a terrifying, suffocating sense of isolation. The shadows in the grand foyer begin to lengthen as the afternoon sun dips lower in the sky, casting long, haunting silhouettes across the room. She is completely alone, trapped in a body that is rapidly betraying her. The physical weakness is paralyzing, preventing her from even pulling herself up to a seated position. The silence of the mansion, once a comforting sanctuary from the chaos of Genoa City, now feels like a heavy, oppressive tomb. Every labored breath she takes is a stark reminder of her mortality and the agonizing reality of her grim diagnosis. The sheer terror of being unable to call for help, of lying helpless in the place she calls home, is a trauma that cuts deeper than any physical pain she has ever endured. As the minutes stretch into agonizing hours, Nikki's mind becomes a turbulent ocean of memories, regrets, and fierce, maternal love. She thinks of her children, Victoria and Nick, and the immense burdens they are already carrying. She thinks of the Newman legacy, a towering empire built on blood, sweat, and ruthless ambition. And inevitably, her thoughts drift to Victor. The complex, magnetic, and often destructive love they share is the defining narrative of her life. Yet, in this moment of ultimate vulnerability, she is resolute in her decision to keep him in the dark. She knows Victor is currently consumed by his obsessive war against Phyllis Summers and his dangerous machinations involving Matt Clark. Nikki refuses to become another crisis for him to manage, nor does she want his pity or a reconciliation born out of tragic obligation. It is within this crucible of solitary suffering that a profound and radical shift occurs within Nikki's psyche. As she lies helpless on the marble floor, the realization of her fleeting time ignites a fierce, uncompromising determination to secure her legacy on her own exact terms. She recognizes that the Newman family is standing on a precipice, deeply fractured by internal rivalries and Victor's iron-fisted control. Nikki decides that she cannot simply fade away without ensuring the future is protected from the family's own worst instincts. She must orchestrate a final, definitive move that will reshape the landscape of their lives. When she finally manages to summon the meager strength to recover and reach her phone, her first call is not for an ambulance, nor is it to her husband. Instead, fueled by a surge of desperate adrenaline, she contacts her private, most trusted legal counsel. Operating in absolute secrecy, Nikki initiates a drastic and shocking modification of her last will and testament. Believing she does not have much time left, she meticulously restructures the distribution of her vast personal assets and her voting power within Newman Enterprises. She deliberately bypasses the traditional, expected lines of succession. Nikki is acutely aware of the toxic power dynamics currently suffocating her children, particularly the ruthless corporate maneuvering that has consumed Victoria and the destructive addiction spiraling within Nick. To disrupt this cycle, Nikki makes the monumental decision to allocate a significant portion of her wealth and, more importantly, a pivotal, controlling interest in Newman Enterprises to someone completely unexpected. It is a calculated, explosive maneuver designed to force a massive paradigm shift within the family hierarchy. The identity of this unexpected beneficiary remains shrouded in absolute secrecy, known only to Nikki and her fiercely loyal attorneys. However, the implications of this legal maneuver are nothing short of catastrophic for the current Newman power structure. Nikki is effectively planting a ticking time bomb within the foundation of Victor's empire. She knows that this decision will be viewed as a profound betrayal by some and a shocking revelation by others. By empowering a dark horse candidate, Nikki is ensuring that her final act will be one of ultimate disruption, forcing her family to confront their true loyalties and the toxic nature of their ongoing wars. She is igniting a wave of outrage and a brutal power struggle that will begin to manifest even while she is still alive, as the legal groundwork for this transition begins to subtly alter the corporate landscape. Meanwhile, as Nikki silently battles her demons and finalizes her explosive legal documents in the isolating confines of the mansion, the rest of Genoa City's elite gathers for a highly anticipated evening family event. The glittering lights, the clinking of champagne glasses, and the murmur of sophisticated conversation fill the venue. Yet, there is a glaring, undeniable void in the room. The absence of the Newman matriarch is palpable. Whispers begin to ripple through the crowd as guests and family members alike note that Nikki, a woman who commands every room she enters, has inexplicably failed to appear. The elegant facade of the gathering slowly begins to crack under the weight of her mysterious absence, casting a pall of unease over the festivities. Victor Newman, holding court among the city's power players, initially masks his reaction to his wife's absence with his trademark stoicism. He assumes she is simply making a fashionably late entrance or perhaps avoiding the social tediousness of the event. However, as the evening progresses and her presence remains entirely unaccounted for, Victor's initial irritation rapidly metastasizes into a cold, sinking dread. He is a man whose instincts have built a global empire, and those same instincts are now screaming that something is terribly, fundamentally wrong. He observes the worried glances exchanged across the room, and the stark reality of Nikki's recent health complaints suddenly crash over him with devastating clarity. The realization that he may have overlooked the severity of her condition while distracted by his vendettas hits Victor like a physical blow. The impenetrable armor of the ruthless businessman shatters, revealing the deeply concerned, fiercely protective husband beneath. He abruptly abandons his conversations, his commanding presence shifting from authoritative to frantic. Victor cannot shake the horrifying image that Nikki might be suffering alone. He immediately mobilizes his security detail and decides to leave the event, his mind racing with terrifying possibilities. The drive to the Newman estate is a torturous journey, every second amplifying the profound, unsettling fear that he might be too late to save the woman who is the very center of his universe. As we report on these unfolding tragedies, our channel cannot help but feel a profound, genuine sorrow witnessing the solitary agony of Nikki Newman. We have chronicled her journey for decades, watching her rise from the ashes of her past, conquer her addictions, and stand tall as the resilient heart of the Newman family. Seeing her reduced to such heartbreaking vulnerability, lying helpless and alone on the cold floor of her mansion, brings real tears to our eyes. It is deeply moving and profoundly tragic to watch a legend face her mortality in such terrifying isolation, burdened by the belief that she must protect her family from her own pain. Our hearts ache for the sheer emotional endurance she is displaying, and we are captivated by the fierce, unyielding spirit that drives her to rewrite her legacy even in her darkest hour. The stage is now set for a collision of epic proportions. As Victor Newman speeds toward the estate, driven by a desperate, agonizing fear, he is entirely unaware of the shocking legal maneuvers his wife has just executed behind closed doors. What will Victor find when he finally pushes open the heavy doors of the Newman mansion? Will he discover Nikki in time to provide the medical intervention she so desperately needs? Or will he be met with a tragedy that will forever break his heart? And when the explosive details of Nikki's newly revised will inevitably come to light, how will the Newman family survive the catastrophic power struggle she has unleashed while still drawing breath? The battle lines are being redrawn, and the fallout will change Genoa City forever.